Welcome to The Final Word. Geoff Lemon with you at the Adelaide Oval the day before the historic day-night test match. Are they still historic when we've had several of them? I guess they are. They're all written down in history. But there's been a lot of off-field action this week, a lot of tension between the two camps. It's hot and heavy, it's humid. James Anderson coming out and saying that the Australian team were bullies. Steve Smith hit back at that, saying it was a bit rich for James Anderson to be saying that when he'd been doing plenty of bullying of his own. They've gone back and forth. There's tensions boiling, and England captain Joe Root didn't want to buy into it. He sort of declined to answer questions about what had gone on in Brisbane and whether it was too much. So there'll be more in that story, I'm sure, over the next few weeks, but it's all going to be focused on the field from tomorrow. Australia going in with an unchanged 11, so local wizard Chad Sayers will not play. The pace attack will be all out there, and they'll probably be bouncing England once again. England haven't confirmed what their 11's going to be. Some talk that Overton might come in, Jake Ball might drop out, but they'll have to wait and see what they're going to do with that. We're looking at the pitch as well and how that's going to play out. So 6 millimetres of grass on the wicket this year, a couple of millimetres less than a couple of years ago, so they've settled on something they're comfortable with in the interim, and Steve Smith reckons that'll play somewhere in between the Shield game, where Mitchell Starc took a career best 8 wickets and had the ball flying everywhere, and the test matches that we've seen. So it won't be an intensely bowler friendly game, but there will still be plenty of assistance for those seam bowlers. Let's throw over now to Adam Collins, who has Kookaburra's Shannon Gill, to talk about the pink ball and how that's going to work through the game.
This is the pink Kookaburra from 2 years ago. This is the pink Kookaburra we're going to be using tomorrow. We've got Shannon Gill, the boss of Kookaburra's comms and media and the all-round pink ball specialist, to discuss with us what you've done over the last couple of years and how the balls will behave differently tomorrow compared to 2 years ago.
Has it changed? Okay, well the main thing that has changed over the last 2 seasons is visibility. So you'll see there's a green and white seam on this one. Like the white ball, that was the original, but we had the feedback from players that said that they couldn't pick up the seam on the pink. The contrast wasn't great enough. So we've gone to a black seam. Now the black seam was first used last year and is used again this year. The only difference this year is we have a slightly stronger seam thread in that black seam this year, but it won't change the way it looks, feels or plays.
Yeah, a lot of discussion in the pink ball test match a couple of weeks ago at North Sydney Oval about how the ball was hacked up on an abrasive surface. Do you think that's still the case, or is this ball more resilient than it was a couple of years ago as well?
It's probably more resilient than what it was, but again, the pitch determines how successful the pink ball is.
Well, you've been out there today. What's your assessment on the track in terms of how you think it'll play out with this ball tomorrow? Do you think it should have enough in it to make sure, enough grass cover with 6 mils to look after this pink ball tomorrow?
Well, I think that the approach that they've taken is to try and replicate last year. Now, weather and LA conditions have made that a little bit difficult, but I think the rain that they've had in the last few days probably helps that case. So if they can replicate that as well as it should, we won't see any problems.
So you always have a box of tricks for us whenever you come and join us on the final word. You've got a white ball here and the mauve ball, the claret ball.
Basically,
explain these to us. Why are they relevant to this one?
Explain why this is relevant. This is what the pink ball looks like underneath the pink finish. So underneath that pink finish, this is the leather. So if you wanted to play, if you said we want to play the pink ball during the day with no pink finish, this is what it would look like.
Right.
But what it will explain is that you can't see that under lights.
Right.
The other thing that I think is relevant, this is a white ball before the white finish is put on it that would be used in an ODI match. But this is a good explanation of why you need that pink luminous finish to see the ball under lights. That is after a couple of overs and it's already brown, green, and so forth. So you're not going to see that over 80 overs. So the big challenge with what we have with the pink ball is that you need to keep it light enough, but also keep it resilient enough to be visible in 80 overs of play. So the pink finish allows us to do that, keeps it clean and keeps it visible under lights.
I remember in the first season we had the pink balls, there was discussions about how much scientific testing went into getting the design right. Can you just reflect on, even this early edition, what sort of work was done to make sure it was up to scratch?
Well, before the first test was played against New Zealand a couple of seasons ago, there had been 8 or 9 years of work that had gone into it from the moment that the MCC said, hey, ball manufacturers, we want you to make a pink ball. So that's an example of the years of work that goes into it, the different colours of pink that went through every different shade of pink that we could think of. before landing upon this as the best colour.
You started a bit of a media war during the English summer when you reflected on the pink Kookaburra and said that it might be 5 years ahead of the pink Duke. Can you just explain for our viewers how this ball is superior to the Duke in your opinion?
Well, look, we only get the feedback from players, and I suppose, ironically, the Duke, John Hastings, was the one who gave us the feedback in particular and talked about it in the UK, saying that the competitor's pink ball was well behind our pink ball. Yep. We can only go off that. I think that's probably right because we've been working at it longer. The incentive for us is to keep working to make sure we're ahead of the game.
What we know, it'll be a magnificent spectacle again tomorrow night at the Adelaide Oval. They always are, these day-night test matches. Thank you to Shannon Gill for joining the final word once again, fueled by Kookaburra Cricket. This is, of course, Wisdom Cricket Monthly now, where we're doing it for. Adam Collins and Geoff Lemon. We'll see you after the test match.
Generally for my in-swinger, being a left armour, it's generally back into the right-hander. I'm probably in between being wide and close together. I'm sort of on the edge of the seam of the ball. I've played around with my thumb a little bit in recent times, but I'm pretty much on the seam now. And for me, it's all about my arm coming as straight and over the top as much as I can to get that seam nice and presented, for it to come down pretty straight. Pitching on sort of outside off stump or off stump to come back in and hopefully hit the stumps or hit the batsman on the pads. And then for the outswinger, for me being a left armour, even that angle across is great, but I changed the seam position a little bit, so it's slightly pointed to the slips if it's a right-hander, and then my arm action, you almost, for a lefty, I come over the top a bit more to create that angle with my arm, and you still want to present the seam pretty straight to get that movement away from the right-hander.